and Elon. Joseph, please, what do you understand by Gen AI and how you can even relate to how we can use it at work?
Yeah, thank you. I'm new here. I think from the word generate, maybe I can just go with that explanation using the word generative. Generative means
Yeah.
like creating something new. So
Mm,
maybe generative AI, I think you use here AI to create something that is unique,
yeah.
or maybe something that is, or maybe you try to innovate
Mm,
using AI. I think
yeah.
that is what I understand from the word generative AI.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. These are very, very important conversation because we first have to understand what is Gen AI before we even relate to how we can use it in different areas. Today we are talking about work. The other day we were talking about AI in healthcare. The other day we were talking about AI in agriculture and so on and so on. Elon, Elon, can you hear me? Michelle, if you can talk, please. Okay. So what are some of the Gen AI that we have used? What are some of the generative AIs that you have used so far? You can drop in the chat section as we continue the discussion. Just drop in the chat section which generative AI have you used before. And now when we'll be doing that in the chat section, we will also be looking at now what has been your experience while using this Gen AI. Especially now, when you look at work, we can use generative AI in in drafting business proposals, generating pitch decks. That is now AI for generating presentations. We can use AI to generate social media posts. You just give a descriptions, give me or create for me or act as my social media manager and do this following the 5 pillars or 5 core steps of giving a proper prompt. That's what we usually train in prompting, AI prompting. You need to also give like the context, you need to give the format, you need to give the constraint, like you need to give the role. AI needs to understand its role and give it constraints so that it knows that it needs to use to generate maybe a 2 pages or 300 words or 200 or just bulletin or 5 or 10. So it becomes very important. Now when it comes to work, generative AI can actually be used in also areas that you've heard being mentioned in social media. We can use AI. We can use AI to design even marketing campaigns, even generate emails that we can use for email marketing. Also, even generate blogs. Use generative AI to generate blogs. You see, even now programmers are using generative AI to generate codes. We call it vibe coding, but it's also a productive way. People are nowadays not interested in the process, they're actually interested in the results. If you can deliver your results less than 3 hours and still be good, while the other person will take 3 days, people need execution, people need speed, people need results. So the more you take longer, the more you're likely to lose the client. And so that's why Gen AI, generative AI, also comes in handy in ensuring that it boosts our productivity so that we now maybe use most of our time to focus on other things like strategies. And also remember, you don't have to, you are not supposed to submit this first draft. AI can give you the first draft. A human being, you're now a human being. You can go through and now refine that and make it actually the final version that can actually be submitted. And we have seen also AI actually taking notes. AI taking notes. And then after AI taking notes, we have seen also summarizing documents also with AI. Generative AI can also help summarize a particular document. Also, drafting emails, by the way, if you need to send an email, nowadays people are just directly asking for the first draft and then refine the first draft, and then everything is good to go. Always, that's why we are saying there's human intervention that is required in every aspect, so that the information that is going out there is actually correct. And now, while talking about that, AI also help in research. Generative AI can help in research, by the way. Desktop research has now been accelerated. You can even see when you check out your Chrome, there is usually AI mode component, AI mode, giving you the fast response. Rather than just going and just asking, because initially we used to just traditional search, where you go to your browser like Chrome and then just ask you a question, and then it will bring for you a recommendation of like thousands and thousands of links for you to go and check what you need. But nowadays, with the generative AI, you just ask generative AI, it will actually pull all the sources and summarize to even 5 or 2. Even if you're doing some desktop research on maybe a company that is maybe processing, let's say in agriculture, a company that's processing, let's say cashew nut or mango processing plant or something like that in Kenya. Such like things you can now quickly search with AI, and then when AI gives you the links to access to these sites, you open this, ensure that you actually validate. That's why human intervention is very, very important. Always validate the sources that you are being given by AI as well. The same thing happens actually in academic research. Nowadays, there has been a lot of issues between actually the supervisors, especially in in areas like now the thesis and projects. Everything is now being generated with AI, but now accountability becomes very important, where now we can be able to show that actually we have used. That's why there's usually nowadays there's a declaration form. Actually, some companies and learning institutions are giving declaration form. Declare to which percentage have you used AI in your work. That's why when I was starting this conversation, I was joking with Terry. I was telling her that even in 1990s, 1980s, when calculators were introduced, we had a strike. Okay, so we had a strike on why are we introducing calculators? It's going to take over human thinking capacity in mathematics. But now, even the generation that came yesterday, they can't actually know that the calculator didn't exist at first. So people actually were using their brain to calculate everything without support of a calculator. And now we're now in the world of AI. And the same thing, you can't fight AI. Just find a way of working with it. It's not going today, it's here. So you just have to find a way so that you can be able to always work with AI. So up to this point, I would like to welcome any one of us who has some contribution to this particular topic to air your vision. Anyone, air your vision. Give us your submission. What are your thoughts? Of course, there is also issues of data privacy in the organization level. AI uses data. When you feed personal information to the AI systems, it remains in the AI memories. So it's very, very important. And actually it can be used to even improve and refine. Now you can imagine AI using your data to train the models. So very, very important that we always safeguard private information. So that's why we can't automate. The same thing even happens to while serving clients. We have AI serving clients, answering client questions. Even WhatsApp Business has Meta AI already, and is already responding to your inquiries. When you comment on someone's WhatsApp status who has a business profile and actually enabled the AI mode, And so the AI, the Meta AI automatically responds to you. They're like, people are also now even lazy to respond to WhatsApp. Now we have to automate everything. But you just need to be sure, you be curious and always protect your clients, customers' data. And the same thing also happens to now, like search inquiries on WhatsApp and so on. Maybe your customers also need human intervention. They need to talk to a human being. Give always an option for them to choose between human and AI responses. And that makes it even a better place for all of us. A nice environment for all of us to actually coexist. So AI becomes a co-pilot to just answer the repetitive questions, but suppose a client actually wants a unique inquiry, they should be able to get human intervention. So please, I'd like to hear from you on your submissions on this matter before we wrap up our discussion today. So what are some of your final submissions? Everyone, please, you can drop in the chat section. You can unmute and make your submission right away. So let me start with the same order. I'll start with the theory as others prepare also to just make your submission in this regard. Just looking at how AI is now being used in areas and also accelerating, and also what are your thoughts on the risks? Just your general perspective on this. Welcome. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?